Can you hear me, Drew?
And just a quick reminder, you guys are live on Facebook right now with audio. One minute, everybody, 1 minute.
Okay, I call the June 9, 2020 regular Planning and Zoning Commission meeting to order. And first we'll do roll call. Commissioner Christensen.
Present.
Commissioner Benavides. You're muted, but I see you there. Commissioner Park.
Sorry, here too.
I see you. Commissioner Seavey.
Hi, present.
And Commissioner Gay has been excused. And Commissioner Berenson. I don't see her. And Commissioner Eby, I'm here. Let the record reflect that we do have a quorum for the meeting tonight. And the next item is approval of the agenda. Director Justice, are there changes to the agenda?
Chair, Commissioners, there are changes to the agenda. Item 4B has been deferred, and the home occupation number 558 for 7601 Rio Grande has been withdrawn. This was not on the agenda, but if anyone is present for those two items, they will not be heard this evening.
The home occupation was not on the agenda, but it's being withdrawn. Is that
yes. Sorry, Chair, Commissioners, this is for if any member of the public is in attendance for that home occupation. There was a public notice sent out for it. However, it was withdrawn before it was put on the agenda. So if
Okay.
anyone is present who did not get that notice, it will not be heard tonight. And item 4B has been deferred.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Justice. Is there a motion to approve the agenda with the changes?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Seavey, and I didn't see who it was that seconded it. Commissioner Park. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. And now we move on to the public comment period. Residents may address the Planning and Zoning Commission to comment on issues, problems, or successes that do not appear elsewhere on the agenda. Audience members will be given an opportunity to comment on agenda items as they come up. If you are an individual with a disability in need of a reader, amplifier, a qualified sign language interpreter, or any other form of auxiliary aid or service to attend or participate in the hearing or meeting, please contact the village clerk 1 week prior to the meeting or as soon as possible. Can I ask Kiko, do we have any members of the public signed up to speak?
We do. Joe Craig is signed up to speak. Joe, I don't see your name on here. If you're on here as a different name, can you go ahead and raise your hand in the meeting? Stand by, I'm putting somebody through right now. Mr. Craig, are you there?
Hey, Kiko, thanks. Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Thanks, Al. I don't really have any comment right now. I did want to just listen into the meeting.
Oh, that's fine.
Thanks, Lynn.
We have an audience. Thank you, Mr. Craig.
So I'll mute myself. Thanks.
All right. Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine, will be enacted by one motion without separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. And so the item that we have on the consent agenda is approval of the minutes of the May 12, 2020 regular meeting. And I have a note from Stephanie that there's a typo in the minutes. At the end of the approval date says 2019 instead of 2020. And this was posted before it was discovered. So she will fix that in the minutes after they're approved. Are there any other corrections or comments from the commissioners about the minutes from the May 12 meeting? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Yes, motion to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, so it's been moved by Commissioner Benavides and seconded by Commissioner Christensen. I think you got in there first. To approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. All opposed? Okay, so the motion to approve the minutes passes unanimously with the one typo correction that will be made before they're finalized. All right, thank you. Now we move on to the public hearings or public hearing. Speakers will be sworn in individually before speaking. When called upon to speak, please state your name, address, and wait to be sworn in by Attorney Winter before giving your statement. So we have item A, V 20-6. a request by Stephen and Francois Coy for a variance from section 9.2.7 E2A3. Quote, rear setback shall be 25 feet, end quote, to allow for placement of a structure within the rear setback in the A1 zone in the North Rio Grande character area. The property is located at 8306 Rio Grande Boulevard Northwest and is legally known as Tract C, Arvada Edition, situate in projected section 17 T11N R3E NMPM. Village of Los Ranchos to Albuquerque, Bernalillo County, New Mexico, as filed in the office of the Bernalillo County Clerk on October 15, 1982. The property contains 0.507 acres more or less. Attorney Winder, please swear in Director Tiffany Justice initially.
Stand by while I allow Nan Winter in.
All right, thank you.
Tiffany, are you the only one?
I think we will be swearing in
We're doing them
the
one at a
applicants
time.
and any speakers at the time when
One
they'll
at a
be
time.
speaking.
Okay. Tiffany, please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Director Justice, may we have the planning report? Yes.
Certainly, Chair, Commissioners, the applicants desire to replace an existing shed that's currently within the rear setback of the property. The new shed would be in the same location as the existing shed and would be about twice the current size. Though larger, the shed would not encroach into the setback any more than what is currently there, about 15 feet from the property line. This shed cannot be placed elsewhere on the property due to a combination of other structures, fencing, and landscaping. The existing shed is a legally non-conforming use. However, replacing it in its entirety would remove that status. This is why they're coming in for a variance. The surrounding land uses are all A1 zoned in the North Rio Grande character area. So in terms of the legally non-conforming use, there is language in our non-conforming use ordinance that allows a new non-conforming accessory structure if the Planning and Zoning Commission finds that the new accessory structure will not adversely affect surrounding properties and resources. So part of this, part of my analysis includes this clause, basically saying that, you know, the commission can approve this new non-conforming structure, or it can also approve the variance. So the provisions for a legally non-conforming use of a new non-conforming accessory structure are that there is no alternative which is suitable for construction of that accessory structure, and there is no, it's not reasonably available to the applicant such that the accessory structure may be constructed so as to conform to applicable regulations. So the option to demolish what is currently developed on the property is not reasonably available to the applicant. Most of their property is developed with landscaping, fencing, and other structures. And so right now there is no reasonable alternative suitable to the construction of that accessory structure. And the Planning and Zoning Commission can again find that this placement of this new non-conforming accessory structure is allowed under the provisions of the non-conforming uses and structures section of the code, and approve it through the variance. As for the criteria for a variance, per section 9.2.257A1, the variance is not contrary to the public interest. The proposed location of the shed is the same location as the current shed, and no adverse comment was received during the public comment period prior to publishing of the meeting packet. In accordance with section 9.2.257A2, the variance meets 3 hardship criteria, number 3, 5, and 6. As for number 3, the parcel is regularly shaped as it is a rectangle. However, it is narrow in width going north to south, and those north and south sides are subject to the front and rear setbacks. As the lot is about 100 feet, with the current 25-foot front and rear setbacks, that leaves about 50 feet for development north to south. For criteria number 5, the 25-foot rear setback would still apply to all of other structures. Placing another structure within the setback would require another variance. This variance is for the placement of this one structure. And with criteria number 6, this is in accordance with the village master plan. And in accordance with section 9.2.257A3, the use of this premises is not changing. The property is zoned A1 agricultural residential, and the proposed building is an accessory building that is permissive in the A1 zone. So with that, the department recommends approval of B20-06 for a variance from section 9.2.7E to A3. Rear setback shall be 25 feet to allow for placement of a structure within the rear setback in the A1 zone in the North Rio Grande character area with the following conditions and findings. The conditions are that 1, the variance is for the placement of an approximately 120 square foot structure, and 2, other encroachment into the rear setback will require another variance. No prior application for a variance has been submitted on this property in the prior 6 months, and public notice requirements have been met with publication in the Albuquerque Journal and public notice mailing. And I stand for any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions from any of the commissioners for Director Justice?
Yes. So Director Justice, I think you laid out 2 options for us. One is to approve the non-conforming use because of an existing non-conforming structure, or the other is option is for a variance. Is that correct?
That is correct. And in addition to that, you can, we recently had another case where there was a legally non-conforming use option and a variance, and the course of action was to approve the variance as that was what was applied for. Part of the legally non-conforming use language can support the variance, but if the merits of the variance, based on the merits of the variance, you would recommend denial, and you would recommend approval for the legally non-conforming use, you can prefer to take the legally non-conforming use route.
Okay, but the application is for a variance, so that's what we have in front of us. It seems more complicated
Yes.
to pursue the other option.
Commissioner Benavides, commissioners, yes, that is correct. It would be more complicated to go that route, but it is also just an option at this point.
Okay.
Any other questions of Director Justice? I just have one minor thing. The second condition here seems more like an advisory statement than an actual condition that we're imposing. So I suppose it's not really necessary, but I don't object to having it in there. Do you have any comment about that?
Chair, commissioners, that's true. We can forego the second condition. This, I guess, could be changed to a note for the applicant that new placement of the structure, placement of another structure would require another variance.
Okay. Any other questions for Ms. Justice? Hearing none, is the applicant present?
Can I get the applicant name, please?
It's Stephen Coy and Francois Coy.
Stephen Coley has been unmuted.
Mr. Coy, are you there?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello, hello?
Yes, your
Okay.
volume is a little faint. If you could turn it up, might help. But go ahead and state your name and address for the record.
Okay, I'll speak loudly so I don't have to find the controls.
That's better.
My name is Steve Coy, and I live at 8306 Rio Grande Boulevard, Northwest.
And Attorney Winter, please swear in Mr. Coy.
Mr. Coy, I know you can't see me, but could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you so much.
Go ahead, Mr. Coy, if you'd like
Okay.
to say something about your application.
Yes, there was one correction I wanted to make. As part of the application, I submitted plans for the building, and the square footage is actually, would actually be in the neighborhood of 200 square feet, not 120. Incidentally, I don't know if it's considered pertinent, but the reason that we need the larger structure, my wife is an artist, a painter, and her galleries have been closed. And so she's producing paintings and we need a place to put them. So, and the existing structure, mice get in and chew on her paintings. So we wanted to remove it and to have one big enough to hold her production until her studios are fully back online. So that was the reason.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone present who wishes to speak in favor of this application other than Mr. Coy?
My wife is available, incidentally, but I can speak for both of us.
Okay, well, she's welcome to make a statement if she wants to, but certainly not necessary. Your letter that's in the record is very thorough and well-written and well-reasoned, in my
Thank you.
opinion. So
There is nobody indicating that they would like to speak at this time.
okay.
Yeah. I spoke to all my neighbors, by the way, and none of them had any objections.
And no objections have been filed. Are there any questions from the commissioners of Mr. Coy? Okay, seeing none. Now, are there any people in the audience who wish to speak against this application?
Nobody has indicated that they would like to speak.
Okay, thank you. All right. Any other further comments from any of the commissioners or Ms. Justice or from Mr. Coy, the applicant?
No.
Okay, the floor is now, hello?
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Chair, Commissioners, I would just amend my condition then, condition number 1 to say for an approximately 200 square foot structure.
Okay. And does that affect your recommendation at all, Ms. Justice?
No, that does not affect my recommendation. The encroachment into the setback would still be the same.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So the floor is now closed for comments. Is there a motion?
Sure, Madam Chair. I move that we approve the I move that we approve with the, accepting the conditions in the report as modified to the 200 feet.
All right. Is there a second?
I second the motion with
All right.
the additional changes with the 220.
Okay. All right. The Commissioner Park moved to approve the variance with the two conditions, with the first condition being modified from 120 square feet to 200. And Commissioner Christensen seconded the motion. Now, is there any discussion among the commissioners about the motion?
No.
Okay. Then I'm going to call for a roll call vote on this. Commissioner Christensen,
Yes.
Commissioner Benavides,
Yes.
Commissioner Park,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Seavey,
Yes.
and Commissioner Eby, I vote in favor. So the motion carries unanimously, 5-0. And now I will formally close the application 4A. All right. Well, at this point, we would be moving on to the next public hearing, but it's been withdrawn or postponed. And so I think we're done with the public hearing section of the meeting. And we'll move on now to old business. And I didn't see any in the packet. And so we'll move on to new business. And I didn't see any new business in the packet either. So let's move on to something that we do have something to talk about here, the reports. And there's a planning department report. Ms. Justice, can you give us your report?
Certainly, Chair, Commissioners. The Planning and Zoning Department is now operating both remotely and in person by appointment only. As the restrictions are being lifted, in-person operations will expand, but most applications can be handled digitally, and those that involve physical items have pretty minimal contact. We still have the drop-off pick-up box outside of Village Hall. And as the state reopens, the Planning and Zoning Department will still continue to offer online permit processing. This situation kind of pushed our processes into the 21st century, and we will keep it available. Remote meetings, as you can see, will continue to be conducted until the state allows otherwise. Applicants are given the option before public notices go out to defer their item to a later month if they are not comfortable with a virtual meeting. In general, Jennifer Schilling, our administrative assistant, has been working with our administrator and mayor to refresh the Village Vision magazine. The village will not produce a September issue to allow time for administrative updates, and all of the current advertisers have been made aware of this. And Jennifer continues to process permits and organize the database for the village businesses and now the Village magazine. Dominic Tomba continues to patrol the village and work with property owners to bring their properties into compliance. There's been an increase in animal control cases, and the code enforcement report will be quarterly. I know in the last meeting packet, we had the code enforcement report, so we'll wait a couple months before the next one. I've been working on the facility and special event policy, application forms, and a facilities and events webpage. Until the state allows large gatherings, village facilities are not available for rental. But the applications and webpage are being prepared for when that time happens. The facility and special event policy was adopted by the Board of Trustees at their regular May 13th, 2020 meeting. And before this policy, there was really only the application to rent the community barn. So now there's going to be clearer guidelines for what's allowed and what's required for special events and renting village facilities. And I stand for any questions.
I was wondering if these new, the new policy is available on the website. I think I started to look, but then I got distracted. So I'm just asking you where to find it. Is it formalized to the point where it's in writing yet?
Chair, Commissioners, the policy itself has been written. It was adopted by resolution in the Board of Trustees, or by the Board of Trustees in May. So that's included in their meeting packet from that May meeting. The web pages that I'm working on are going to mostly focus on the applications. That way, when somebody's trying to apply to rent the barn, they don't need to look at the policy itself. They can just look at the application.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. I just have a comment about the photograph in the village vision of the commission is quite outdated. And I know that's a problem because we're not meeting in person currently, but wondered if there's any plan to do something about that.
Chair, Commissioners, we will likely wait until we can all meet in person in close proximity again to take a photo. In the meantime, we could take a screenshot of this meeting here and use that as our header, if that would be preferable.
Just Photoshop masks on everyone. No one will know the difference.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we have 2 missing commissioners this evening.
Just Photoshop the masks. I'm just kidding, for the record.
Maybe a screenshot from last month's meeting of I think we were all still here. I mean, I think we were all present at the last meeting. How do the rest of you feel about that?
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with it.
You're fine with screenshot, or you're fine waiting and for a real photo?
With the screenshot or waiting, either way, whatever easiest.
Okay.
I can provide a screenshot and then you guys can decide from there if you like it or not.
Okay. Oh, I like that idea.
Yeah, that's, we may have second thoughts.
Flattering for everyone. Okay.
Will you email that to us then? The
I'll
screenshot?
send it to Tiffany and then she can just send it out from there.
Okay, thanks.
That sounds good to me. Any other questions of our planning director? Comments? Okay. None? Okay, thank you, Tiffany. And so then we move on to the commissioners' informal discussion. So the floor is open for any reports or information any of you would like to share with each other and with the public.
I have nothing.
Yeah, man.
Boy. All right. It's 7:30. And the next item on the agenda is adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Yes, you have a motion to adjourn from me.
Okay.
Is this the fastest meeting we've ever had?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I don't have a second.
Oh, second. Oh my goodness.
Oh, okay, thank you. So we have a motion by Commissioner Benavides. It's been seconded by Commissioner Park to adjourn.
Enthusiastic.
And are we all enthusiastic about that? Okay.
Thank you,
All
Madam
right,
Chair.
the motion.
Oh,
Just say aye, just for formality.
aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No. Okay, well, thank you all. It's been a pleasure. It was a record short
Thank you.
meeting.
Very well run meeting.
Mark.
And thank you to the staff. I'm getting used to the documents you're sending them. I appreciate it. I can
Yeah,
see I'm doing them. So thank
the
you.
reports were really good, really good.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Karen. Take
Bye.
care.
Thank you, Karen.
We'll see ya.